All right. Hi team, welcome to your first tutor PD with Math Motivators. I am super excited to talk to you about all of the components that happen in Mr. Dodd's classroom and what you should be doing during those different times of class. The first component that we're going to talk about is called Chart the Error. The Chart the Error period is mostly led by Mr. Dodds. He's going to put some student work up on the board and kids are going to be working independently, just like this. After he puts that work up on the board, kids are going to have a conversation with him and maybe ask you to turn and talk or engage with kids to really push their thinking so that they can stamp the conceptual components of the math lesson that day. Mr. Dodds will probably give you some directions, like master teachers, as these scholars work independently, ask them a question about residuals. Or master teachers, as these scholars work independently, check their work to make sure they have all three criteria of this particular answer. Your job in that time is to let them work independently. I know it's hard. So basically, what that means is allow them to work until Mr. Dodds gives them that cue. So I want to show you what that looks like with Ashley and Bijan here. Bijan, I see that you're using the line of best fit. Why are you using the line of best fit in this example?
I'm using the line of best fit because the problem asks me to substitute 7 for x to find the reasonable range.
Excellent. So you're on the right track, but you're not quite there yet. Keep going. Ashley, you're making a prediction. Explain to me how we're making a prediction based on what Mr. Dodge just talked about with our key points.
What prediction exactly am I making?
So let's look. So if we're trying to find a reasonable range, what information is given in this problem to actually help us find a reasonable range?
Oh, well, the information, they gave us the line of best fit.
Yep, what else?
So, and we know that the price the age is 7. So that we're going to substitute 7 into the line of best fit.
Good, and that's going to get out what?
The predicted price in dollars.
Good. And so keep working, both of you, independently, because what I want to see in about a minute's time is the range that you have. So kids are going to keep working independently on this problem, and then Mr. Dodds is going to bring everybody back together, and we're going to stamp those key points. When he's stamping those key points, your job as a tutor is to just simply sit there and engage with the class. Mr. Dodds might call on you. Mr. Dodds might ask you to engage with the tutor. But it's really important that our kids in that time can stamp the conceptual components of what's happening in the math lesson that day. Let's move on to the second part of class. It's called mixed practice. So in mixed practice, kids are actually going to be reviewing problems that they know how to do. They might not always act like they know how to do them, but they do. So they're going to be given a CFS, or really just a list of steps that are going to help them solve those problems. You have a bigger job in this time. Your job in this time is to really make sure the kids are following those steps. So Mr. Dodds might give you some directions and say, here are the lists of 3 steps that kids are going to be doing in these types of problems. While they're doing them, check their papers, actually check their papers to make sure that they've done those 3 steps accurately. And if they're off task, get them back on task by simply redirecting. Really make sure you're following those steps that Mr. Dodds gives you, as well as the exemplar handout that he's giving in that time. Let me show you what that looks like back with Ashley and Bijan. Okay, team, can we turn to the mixed practice? And we're going to start that. Mr. Dodds' timer just went off. Okay, so go ahead and start annotating on this mixed practice. I want to make sure we're following the CFS that Mr. Dodds has on the board. This is a time where kids might get stuck, and your job is to just get them back on track. But don't give all of the answers away. Make sure that you're asking questions, not simply telling them what to do.
Ms. W, which equation do I use?
Okay, so let's think about it. If we've got 84 snacks, we have a what? What is this named in math?
That's the y-intercept.
Good. You have a y-intercept, and you also labeled this as a slope. So what equation can we write with a slope and a y-intercept?
We can write the line of best fit equation.
You can write a line of best fit. And what's the form of that equation?
Y equals mx plus b.
Great. Keep going.
So then would the 84 snacks be the y-intercept?
It would be the y-intercept. Good. Keep going. Nice. So Ashley's got this first part, so I'm going to check this first part off. Ooh, ooh, Bijan, there's something incorrect here. Can you go back and edit this part? Check the number 2 on the CFS. Sometimes you might have a scholar who's moving a little bit slow as they're working on these problems. And that's okay. All of our kids work at different speeds. But it's actually okay to say, Bijan, come on, we got to move faster on this problem. We're going too slow. That's totally okay. It's your job to redirect them and not wait for Mr. Dodds to come over and do that for you. Okay, let's move on to part 3. Part 3 is the easiest part for the tutor. It's the exit ticket. So the exit ticket is the place of the class where kids truly show us what they know, and they actually do this entirely independently. I know that we might want to help kids in this time, but this is our space to really see if what you are doing in class is working. So we've got to let them work independently. So what Mr. Dodds might do during this exit ticket time is say, okay, team, I'm going to pass out the exit tickets. We are silent and independent. So can I have everybody on the exit ticket at this time? Go ahead and turn your page. Great. Mr. Dodds is going to give some directions, like work silently and independently for 10 minutes. Really, you should just be sitting there and waiting for that 10 minutes to be up, because after that 10 minutes, you're going to grade that work. So during this time, it would be perfect for you to go back into that exemplar packet and review what the answer should look like. There are going to be certain criteria that we're going to grade on, and we need to make sure that our kids are getting every single one of those pieces of the problem correct. So review that now and avoid the tendency to answer the questions even when kids ask. I'll show you what that looks like right now.
Okay, so is this looking for the smallest integer?
I want you to think back to what we did on the problems with the CFS, but I'm not going to answer that question for you. You can do this.
Ms. W, what do you do when you have a parentheses?
What do we do when we have a parentheses? You can do it. That's it. That's all you should do with kids during that time. After that time, the bell's going to ring, and you're going to collect this work. I'm going to snag this from you. And then you're simply going to take a look, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to compare against what Mr. Dodds gave me as my exemplar. In this problem, I'm looking for kids using inverse operations, kids accurately distributing the negative, and I'm really making sure that their answer is written as x equals with that -4 as an answer. So I'm going to look into this work, I'm going to check that, and I'm going to award kids either a check minus, or a check plus. If kids have all of the criteria that Mr. Dodds has set out, we're going to give them a check plus. That means they mastered the exit ticket that day, and you did exactly what you should have done with those kids. Check means, okay, well, they kind of got it, but they're not all the way there yet. So we have some more work to do as a team with Mr. Dodds, myself, you as the tutor, and the kids. Check minus might mean a lot of things. It would mean, ooh, they really didn't get it, or ooh, they really didn't try. And so in that case, we might have another conversation about why didn't they get it at all? Why are they in the red? And I would have that conversation with you after the tutoring. Thanks, guys. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming in and helping us and supporting us. Hopefully this gives you more insight on all the 3 parts of Mr. Dodds' algebra tutorial class.